Welcome, aspirants, to another crucial explainer here at Rungta IAS Academy. Today, we're going to decode a highly relevant e-governance case study that is absolutely essential for your GS Paper 2 and 3 mains preparation. We're taking a seemingly routine news update and unpacking it to reveal a truly monumental shift in how the Indian state delivers public services.
So let me ask you a question. How does a simple news item about an EPFO server downtime actually represent a massive systemic shift in citizen-centric governance? We read about digital upgrades all the time, right? But this particular transition at the Employees Provident Fund organization offers a perfect, real-world model for your GS Paper 2 answers on e-governance and social security schemes. Here is a quick roadmap for our analysis today. We'll cover UPSC relevance, then look at legacy bottlenecks, move on to project CITES, discuss the digital transition itself, and finally look at citizen service delivery.
All right, jumping right into Section 1, the EPFO upgrade and its UPSC relevance.
Now, the EPFO is an institution with massive national scale. Its shift to a single national database is definitely not just a routine IT upgrade. It is a critical reform for mobilizing national resources, which falls directly under your GS Paper 3 syllabus. For formalizing our economy and managing employee welfare, the efficiency of this database is absolutely paramount.
Moving on to Section 2, let's look at the bottlenecks in the legacy systems. You really have to consider the structural contrast here. The old system was fractured into over 120 decentralized regional databases, and it relied heavily on employer authorization. It was very disjointed. The new vision flips this entirely. We're looking at a single architecture, one national database, and, crucially, a member-centric approach where any PF office can process a request.
To add some real-world context for your mains examples, just think about the actual human cost of those old silos. Retired beneficiaries literally had to travel back to the specific regional jurisdictions where they used to work just to submit a claim or clear a minor technical hurdle. Nominees of deceased members faced the exact same physical and bureaucratic hurdles during their most vulnerable times. Honestly, it was incredibly inefficient and exhausting for the citizens.
Which brings us to Section 3, Project CITES and Centralized Governance.
So, Project CITES stands for the Centralized IT-Enabled System. What you absolutely must note down for your prelims and interview rounds is that this was designed by the Center for Development of Advanced Computing, or CDAC. The core philosophy here is shifting away from manual discretion and moving completely toward automation and rule-based processing.
And please do not underestimate the scale of this. The centralization process involved the migration of several lakh crore data records. Writing several lakh crore in your answers really highlights the sheer technical ambition and the capacity of the Indian state to execute e-governance at a true population scale.
Let's move to Section 4, the digital transition process.
The groundwork for all of this actually began in 2023 with a centralized pension system. So the recent news trigger, that service unavailability in late June, was actually a planned, totally necessary downtime to consolidate databases. This meant that post-July 1st, members could finally access a unified digital interface.
And finally, Section 5, enhancing citizen service delivery.
Notice how seamless the new user journey is now. By logging in with a Universal Account Number, or UAN, a member can instantly see all previous member IDs linked under a single Aadhaar-based KYC. Furthermore, if the EPFO has a query, they just raise it electronically, and the member responds online. This is a game changer. It dramatically minimizes physical visits to government offices and radically reduces claim rejections.
This quote perfectly summarizes the core ethos of this entire transition. The twin goals of e-governance in India today are transparency and seamless service delivery. Ultimately, it's about empowering the subscriber, not the bureaucracy.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought experiment, especially for those of you gearing up for your UPSC interviews. How does transitioning from employer-centric to member-centric architectures redefine digital governance in India? I want you to really think about how rule-based processing alters the power dynamic between the citizen and the state. Ponder on that, keep revising your notes, and we will see you in the next analysis here at Rungta IAS Academy. Keep studying hard, aspirants.